Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share with you a clip from a recent live event. Eli Ross dropped a comment asking about Riftwatcher price values. And actually this has been on my mind lately where I'm thinking about, I think we're past the floor with cards. I don't think we're looking back on card prices at this point, whether it's reward cards or whether it's Riftwatchers or Chaos Legion. I think we're beyond the floor. I think we're going to see onward and upward. And I say that in part because of land, but also because, as you well know, I've always said these cards are limited in number and they're always shrinking in supply because we consolidate them to upgrade them. And then we are growing in population base that plays the game. And I think in the future, even more so. So for a lot of reasons, I feel like cards are a great and exciting, I guess, opportunity. But then Riftwatchers in particular, these cards are powerful. There's lots of utility within the rank part of this game, or whether you play tournaments or guild brawls, you want these cards. But then additionally, I think these cards are being a little bit slept on because they are going to be the longest standing cards within the modern league that we currently have. And so what would it look like to have the Riftwatcher summoners or some of these amazing legendaries when you start to phase out untamed legendaries? I think the modern league looks dramatically different, and I think these Riftwatcher cards end up having more value, far more value than we currently are even imagining. And so let's talk about that today. And thank you to Eli for the comment, and thank you to you guys for your viewership. I hope you have an amazing day. God bless. The Riftwatchers are being slept on hard, in my opinion. Yeah, let's spend some time. Let's spend maybe the last 10-15 minutes talking about Riftwatchers, because I agree, Eli. Some of those cards are amazing, and I think I'm scratching and clawing to get them. But yeah, let's spend some time looking at Riftwatchers, because I do agree that there is some undervalued cards over there. Like, look at this deck, guys. Look at this. The card prices have been shooting to the moon lately. But hang on a second. Let me make sure I'm speaking correctly. Owned, yes. Delegated, no. No. Owned, yes. Okay, so my owned card deck is worth 59,525. It's been as low as 39 in the not too distant past. Like, it really, really fell. Card prices are really growing rapidly lately. And then let's have a peek at my reward cards, because that's an interesting metric in and of itself. You just look at strictly the rewards. And again, I'm looking at my owned cards, not my rented cards. But I have $14,209 worth of reward cards. Everything from Alamo Cambio. And this would include Ruler of the Seas, so I got a copy of that. But I mean, these cards have really, really gone up. I mean, part of it is just like things like Jin Bilka. Jin Bilka was selling for 30 cents or something like that. Now it's back above $1. That's a big substantial difference when I think I'm packing 60 or 70 or 80 or 100 of those. Jin Chwala has gone up a bit. Oceanus was as low as $1. I think it's now above $2. So just a lot of little increases has really translated to a significant price appreciation. I think there's more excitement in that way coming in the near future. You know, I think land is going to be tremendous. I think you're going to see a radical extraction of card liquidity from the marketplace, and that goes for both the supply available for sale as well as the supply available to be rented. And if cards have this massive new utility, namely being able to farm on land and produce SPS out of the mining through land, or resources like items and spells out of land, then they have this new reason to be used. And if they can be soaked up by that land, and then the supply shrinks massively through that process, that new utility should drive price appreciation in a substantial way. And I really still believe, as I've said in the past, cards like Pellicor Mercenary have an opportunity to move not from like a penny to a few pennies, but like actually up into $1 range at some point in the future. And yes, there's lots of copies. I don't care. There's lots of players. And plus, these cards are going to continue to be consolidated across years and years. And so you will see these prices continue to appreciate. Plus, when things like land happen, holy moly, watch. It could happen. I think it's going to happen really dramatically. And so I've said earlier today, maybe to you guys or maybe just to myself, but I said today to someone that I think now is the time to be looking at cards. I think we talked about this, started with a conversation about Riftwatchers, and I wanted to look at these prices. But I think now, I don't know that we were talking about Ruz. That's right. We were talking about Ruz, and I said I don't think there's going to be much much lower on any of these prices. I think we are at, or we've seen the lows. And I actually think there's reason to believe that there might be significant highs coming in the very near future for card assets in this game. And that would translate to a real improvement to the whole economy, because when massive changes in price valuation happen to one part of the economy, it's so interconnected, and it drives new eyes and new attention and new investors, because massive price spikes, people go chasing green candles, and you shouldn't. And for the last, what is it? Was it 2020 that we started doing stuff on this channel? I can't remember now. Whenever the channel really blew up with the Splinterlands, I've said so many times that you need to put in your time and attention across a long time horizon, extracting trivial rewards, recognizing that one day those trivial rewards will be amply rewarded through a retroactive raise. If you're new to this channel, if you're new to this space, if you've never heard me say that before, what that means is these cards are limited in number, and because they're always shrinking in supply, plus there's a vision and an expectation that the player base will grow, you have growing demand and shrinking supply, which is a recipe for price appreciation. It's always been so. I think it will continue to be so. And so that's why I'm excited for investment in the game and for collection of assets through play, through time and attention. But the problem is, this won't apply to you guys who are here now, but what I'm about to say to you is going to apply to most of the people that come between now and 2024 or 2025. Most of the people that come moving forward are going to come in at a time when the cards are spiking 10x, 100x. And they're going to hear about the game through Splinterlands or through Twitter or through, one of these town halls. By the way, the Splinterlands town hall has been blowing up. Splinterlands TV has been blowing up. Like, the viewership's growing massively. And so there's this exciting attention that's growing. There's this wave, this swell that seems to be increasing. But the problem is those guys haven't been here for years accumulating assets that are trivial in nature. But you have. And so when they come rushing in and they think, oh, like prices have gone up, 1 cent to 10 cents, maybe I can buy it at 10 cents and watch it go to $1. Yeah, maybe you can. And actually, in some cases, probably that'll be true. But the guys like you who have been accumulating them for free or through, relatively inexpensively through pack openings or whatever, that's where we're going to see that retroactive raise, because the prices, you've accumulated these assets that were worth a penny or 2 pennies or half a penny, and you thought nothing of it. But then one day it sells for $1 and you think, wow, my portfolio just grew 100x, even though I didn't add anything to it, because the prices of the assets within your portfolio multiplied significantly. And I think truly that many of the cards we see will end up being 10 to 100 times more valuable. And that's my posture with this thing. And I could be wrong. So don't, I guess take it with a grain of salt. But if you doubt what I said, then just explain to me how the supply demand mechanic I described perhaps doesn't apply. Because if that supply demand mechanic applies to this game, which again, there's only so many cards and the player base is growing. So like cards are shrinking, player base is growing. That has to be, in my mind, a recipe for price appreciation. Am I wrong? Help me understand why I'm wrong. But yeah, on Rift Watchers, man, for the last 7 minutes here, I think these are amazing cards. I was talking, I think it was Blaze or somebody was saying recently, like, these cards are really powerful. I think many of them are very powerful. I think I might even like it better than the Dice expansion. I think I do. Actually, I do. I like it more than the Dice expansion. And I think many of these cards are better than we currently realize. Arachne Thug, I think, is very strong for what it does. The higher levels, the knockout, the trample, the reach. I like it. It's only 6 mana. Bramble Pixie as a reach monster is very strong with the self-heal, helping you avoid death from blast damage, because this thing can heal itself from that second position. So if you got a healer in the first and a healer in the second, you end up being more resilient against blast damage. Ash Mirage is amazing, especially now that we have archery only rule sets. So headwinds becomes so much more powerful, and it fits already within that fire, Jotun type vibe with a fast speed archery monster with reflection shield too, by the way, which is increasingly important. I mean, what card on the screen is bad? That's the better question, because these are great, amazing cards. There are cards here I like better, and there are cards here I like worse. But I don't think that these cards are in any way bad. I think this is an amazing deck. Time Meddler is a card that I perhaps think is just mediocre. But even this card I like if you picture it with Grandmaster Wraith. And something I said recently about these cards. It wasn't specifically talking about Rift Watchers. I was talking about the Modern League versus the Wild League. And if you recognize the fact that the evolution of the Modern League will mean that we soon, in the near future, once Rebellion comes out, whether that's 3, 6, 9 months away from now, at some point in the relatively near future, you're going to see the circulation of Untamed and Dice remove itself from the Modern League, which will radically transform the summoners that are available to perform and to play inside that Modern League. So right now the summoners look like these guys. You got your old Quid Yifts so you got your dice summoners, which are really, pretty well, like, underwhelming, but they're going to be out of it. So that's going to be one less fire, one less water, one less whatever. But the other ones, there are two amazing dices, right? There's the Ouster, which I think gets a lot of play still, and there's Mylor. When Mylor disappears, what's that going to do for the green team? How is that going to imply, a greater use to, like, for instance, a Fernheart? Because again, there's a whole audience of people that play only within the Modern, and I think that the evolution of what cards are accessible within it is going to radically transform the meta. It has to, because cards like Mylor get kicked out. Cards like Kitty are going to get kicked out. And then where does Lily Shieldpaw find itself when there is no more Kitty in Modern? I think you're going to find that it becomes the card to play. Like, it becomes the go-to in some sense. And I think that if you bring that line of thinking to an analysis of the Riftwatcher pack and all of these cards that are in here, recognizing that Time Meddler, like I said, maybe is a bit meh in the current system, but then recognizing that Wraith will be Wraith is one of the best summoners in the game, in my opinion. Grandmaster Wraith will be even more of a beast in the Modern format when you remove some of those cards I just mentioned, like Mylor, like Kitty, like Jotun. And not to say that Wraith is particularly susceptible to any of those, really, but he is strong now. Grandmaster Wraith will be even more strong when those cards are no longer an option in the Modern. What does that do for the price for cards like a Time Meddler? Because how can you have to reanalyze the meta at that time as certain summoners and monsters get shifted out. And so I think we are sleeping on these cards. I think 12, 13 cents for a card like this with a huge hit point base and a huge armor that ties in so well with a Grandmaster Wraith already. And then there's the magic only rule set nowadays and it's less than 10 mana for 15 hit points and it does damage. I mean, that's a strong card, actually. Now, I know it's only 2 damage. This is one of the criticisms. I know it's only 3 speed. That's one of the criticisms. But again, 15 hit points for 8 mana. It does some damage, and it actually can throw back too, right? Return Fire and the Thorns. And then you're going to get amp damage with your Grandmaster Wraith. So again, that partnership is very strong. So that's a card I don't love. And yet I feel like it made a strong argument for why it is a strong card. And I think you could go down the line and do that for all of these. And we just talked about some of the commons and rares, but very quickly, and we'll finish here, but these legendaries are serious, and I don't have them. I've got like a level 2 Raw. I think I've got a level 1 Cane Haste. I think I've got a level 3 Coral Lurker. I think I've got a max level Rune. Maybe a level 2 Redwood. I think I might have a max Flore. But I think of these cards, the only one I have maxed is probably Runemaster Kai and maybe Flore. I think Runemaster Flore. Agor, I might have a level 3. But all of the rest of them, I think I have a level 2 or 3. They're that good, though. Like, they need to be bought. But with what money, guys? Like, where do I get it? Because I need way more SPS. I need way more DEC. What am I going to do? And what are you doing in this moment? And maybe I'll just leave it there. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. Please drop a like before you leave.